Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into the sources so you don't have to, giving you that shortcut to being really well informed. And today, we're doing something pretty cool. Putting on our scientist hats, basically. Yeah, tackling a real world challenge, getting your head around a whole ecosystem. Imagine this, you're a local scientist, like an eco detective. And your mission to figure out the story of a place. That's exactly what we're diving into today, the Trout River ecosystem. It's in beautiful Newfoundland and Labrador.
Right. What's really fascinating here, looking at the sources, is how they guide you through the process. How to actually build a scientific model of an ecosystem like ecologists really do. It means identifying all the parts, living, non-living, figuring out how energy moves, and crucially, where humans fit into that whole picture. It's amazing how much you learn by focusing on one place, using these sources as a guide.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, we're pulling out all the key bits of info from these sources, giving you that blueprint, that shortcut, so you can think like an ecologist too, wherever you happen to be. Sound good? All right, let's start the detective work. Imagine you're dropped into a completely new place, let's say, Trout River. How? How do you even start describing its ecosystem? One of the very first things you'd try to notice.
Yeah, that's step one, isn't it? Defining the system. The sources are really clear on this. And Trout River, well, it's kind of amazing. The sources point out just how diverse it is, all packed together. You've got the coast, the marine environment right there, then the freshwater river itself, you've got boreal forests stretching back, and even like Arctic tundra vibes up high in Gros Morne National Park. So right away you're thinking, okay, how do these connect? Or maybe, do I just focus on one zone to start? It's a key question.
Ah, okay. So it's more than just, pretty views. An ecosystem isn't just the cute animals, right? The sources say it's everything interacting, living and non-living, which brings us to those key terms, biotic
The living stuff.
and abiotic, the non-living stuff.
Exactly.
And it's how they interact, how they dance together that makes Trout River. Trout River.
Precisely. And the sources give loads of examples. For biotic, think capelin, cod, seabirds out in the salt water, in the river, trout, salmon, insects, otters, maybe, forests, spruce trees, fir trees, moose, lynx, black bears, all that.
Okay.
Then abiotic, the non-living side. That's things like the cold water temperature, the ocean tides coming in and out, the rocky soil, maybe seasonal ice, the river water flowing into the sea.
Right.
Understanding these basics,
Yeah.
biotic and abiotic, like the sources lay out, that's your foundation. It lets you see the whole system, not just, random parts.
Okay, reconnaissance done. We've got the setting. We've got a list of who's there. So now how do we figure out what everyone's doing? How do they all connect? Who are the main actors in this ecological play?
Right. This leads us to the ecological rules. And these are super important for building that concept map the sources talk about. First up, you got the producers.
Producers, okay.
These are the organisms making their own food, usually using sunlight, photosynthesis. So think black spruce trees, mosses in the forest, seaweed down on the coast. Oh, and phytoplankton, tiny microscopic stuff in the ocean. They're the base, the energy creators.
Okay, producers make the energy, then come the consumers, right? This is probably where we think of most animals.
Yeah, largely. Consumers get energy by eating other organisms. So in Trout River, that's your trout eating insects, cod eating capelin, moose munching on trees, seabirds grabbing fish, foxes, lynx, bears.
Humans, too, you mentioned.
And definitely humans, yeah. We're big consumers in this system. And then the ones people often forget, but they're absolutely vital. The decomposers.
Ah, the cleanup crew.
Exactly. Nature's recyclers, fungi, worms, bacteria, they break down all the dead stuff, leaves, logs, dead animals, and they return those essential nutrients back to the soil, back to the water.
So everything can grow again.
Precisely. The sources really stress this. Without decomposers, the whole nutrient cycle just stops. It's incredibly efficient, making sure nothing goes to waste.
Okay, so producers, consumers, decomposers. It sounds like a big game of pass the energy.
That's a great way to put it.
The sun kicks it off, plants grab it, animals eat the plants or other animals to get it. And decomposers clean up, sending the nutrients back around. Sun, plants, animals, decomposers, like the sources highlight.
Yeah, that's the fundamental flow. So it's this constant cycle, this engine keeping the whole ecosystem ticking. And what's really key, thinking about that flow, it's efficient, but it can also be fragile. The sources point this out. If something disrupts one part, say the capelin numbers drop.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that doesn't just affect the cod that eat them. It can ripple right through, affecting seabirds, maybe seals. It changes nutrient cycles, predator dynamics, even the physical place over time. Every link matters.
Wow. Okay.
And beyond just who eats who, the sources talk about other species interactions.
Like?
Well, predation is the obvious one. Lynx hunting moose calves, birds diving for fish.
Okay.
There's also competition. Different species needing the same food or the same space to nest. They have to compete.
Makes sense.
And symbiosis. That's different species living really closely together. Sometimes it helps both, sometimes not. Like lichens. That's fungi and algae working together. Super cool. Or think about seabirds and fish stocks. Complex relationship there. All these connections, predation, competition, symbiosis, they weave this intricate web of life. Strong, but sometimes delicate.
Okay, we've mapped out the natural world of Trout River pretty well. Living, non-living, how they connect. But like you said, it's not untouched wilderness. Humans are there. The sources mention fishing, climate change. So thinking about that human role, are we just having negative impacts? Or are there ways humans are actually part of the system in maybe unexpected or even beneficial ways sometimes, like conservation?
It's a really important question. And the sources are clear. You have to include humans in the picture. We're not separate observers. We're in it.
Yeah.
So yes, there are impacts. Fishing, historically huge there, obviously affects fish numbers. Tourism brings people money, but it's also pressure, potentially.
Right.
Then bigger things like climate change, you see it in changing fish migrations, different ice patterns. That hits wildlife directly. And even local stuff matters. Roads, road salt getting into streams, plastic waste, it all ripples through.
Road salt, how does that ripple?
Well, the sources give an example. Salt runoff changes water chemistry in freshwater streams. That can harm tiny insect larvae.
Which are food for the trout.
Exactly. So a seemingly small thing has knock-on effects. Invasive species are another big threat mentioned, often brought in by human activity.
So it's not just nature over here and people over there. Our actions are tangled right into the ecosystem's workings. Whether it's conservation work or a positive input or challenges like pollution, it all becomes part of the data you need to study the ecosystem.
Absolutely. You can't ignore the human element. The sources insist these interactions must be part of the model for it to be accurate. Understanding this is key for living responsibly, for protecting places like Trout River.
Okay. We have gathered so much information. Species lists, abiotic factors, who eats who, human impacts, it's a lot. How do you take all that and turn it into something you can actually see and understand? How do you build the model, make the science visible?
Right. This is the practical part, building the model itself. The sources lay out a process. You'd organize it visually, maybe on a big poster, divide it into zones, marine, river, forest. You might even have a town zone for human activities.
Okay, zone.
Again, arrows. Arrows are key. Show the energy flow, show nutrient movement between zones, like how the river brings stuff into the ocean.
Arrows showing connections, got it.
And labels, of course. Lots of labels. The sources suggest getting specific here too, like use maps or satellite images to draw your zones accurately. And maybe vary the thickness of your arrows. A thicker arrow means a more significant flow of energy or nutrients. Makes it visually clearer.
And these labels, they're not just names, are they? This is where that scientific vocabulary really comes into play, unlocking the deeper meaning.
It's exactly right. The sources emphasize using specific scientific terms to make the model meaningful, like habitat. It's just the natural home of something. The river is habitat for trout, the forest for moose.
Simple enough.
A population is all the individuals of one species in an area. A school of trout, a stand of spruce trees. Put all the different populations together in one area, all the fish, birds, plants, microbes interacting, and that's your community.
Community.
Right. And then niche, that's an organism's specific job or role.
Yeah.
What it eats, where it lives, how it interacts. Like the trout's niche is a freshwater predator, the spruce tree's niche is a forest producer.
What about those slightly trickier terms the sources mention, like keystone species?
Ah, yeah. A keystone species, like maybe Atlantic cod or capelin in this system, has a disproportionately large effect relative to its abundance. It's like the keystone in an arch. Pull it out, and the whole structure could change dramatically. The sources suggest their schooling behavior alone can affect other species, which is fascinating. Their impact is bigger than just what they eat.
Wow. Okay. And carrying capacity.
Carrying capacity. That's basically the maximum population size of a species that a particular environment could support long-term, given the available resources. For Muth in Gros Morne, for instance. But the sources highlight it's not a fixed number. It changes with food availability, predators, even weather. It's dynamic. And the sources give some good practical tips for building the model itself. Use colors to make zones distinct, blue for water, green for forest.
Good idea.
Add real data if you can, water temperature, migration times. Gives it scientific weight. Include a clear legend or key for symbols. Keep explanations short. And a A little detail, but important for credibility. Check your spelling, especially for scientific names like Salar for Atlantic salmon.
Hey, okay, attention to detail.
Yeah, the goal is that balance.
Yeah.
Looks good, easy to understand, but scientifically accurate.
Now, science, it's not usually done alone in a lab, right? It's often teamwork. So you've built this amazing detailed model. What's the final step to make it really count, to share it?
Collaboration. You're absolutely right. The sources actually suggest setting up team roles for a project like this.
Right.
Like having a researcher, an illustrator, a writer, a presenter. Clear jobs.
Like a real research team?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the rules are about respecting ideas, sharing the work fairly, supporting each other, just like scientists working together in the field. It makes you think, doesn't it? How does that teamwork make the final science better, more complete?
And then comes the sharing part, which sounds a bit intense. The sources mention peer review.
Yeah, it's a crucial part of science.
So groups present their Trout River posters, explain the connections they've shown. They focus on a specific challenge, climate change maybe, or overfishing.
Right.
And then they have to answer questions from the audience, from their peers.
Yep. Prepare for questions. It's about defending your scientific interpretations, explaining your choices.
Wow. Okay. Like a mini science conference?
It really is.
Yeah.
It pushes you to clarify your thinking and learn from others, and it reinforces that key message from the sources. This isn't just drawing a picture, it's building a scientific model of an environment. That process, the critical thinking, explaining it clearly, discussing it with others, that's how real science happens. It's how ecologists share what they learn.
Well, this has been quite the journey, a real deep dive into Trout River. We've really walked through how to think like an ecologist, haven't we? Defining the place, identifying the players, producers, consumers, decomposers, mapping the connections, and importantly, seeing how humans are woven into that fabric. It gives you a whole new way of looking. So I guess the big idea is everything is connected. Living, non-living, us. It's all one big interacting system. And understanding those connections is, well, it's pretty fundamental.
Absolutely. And if we connect this back out, like the sources imply, this way of thinking applies everywhere.
Yeah.
Your own backyard, the park down the street, the school grounds. They're all ecosystems too, waiting to be explored with that same scientific curiosity we talked about for Trout River. The same principles apply.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you to take away. Next time you step outside, wherever you are, just try to spot one producer, one consumer, one decomposer near you. Or maybe spot one human impact in your local patch. And think, what connections might be happening there? What questions does that spark for you about your own community's ecosystem? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking closely, and keep exploring the amazing world around you.